One Navy SEAL, one suitcase, and the FBI investigation that exposed a $5 billion cocaine empire spanning 3 continents. This is how a single arrest at Miami Airport triggered the largest coordinated drug bust in recent history. December 24th, Miami International Airport. Angel Martinez-Ramos, a decorated Navy SEAL with 14 years of service, walks through customs with his wife. In the black suitcase, 10 kilograms of pure Colombian cocaine. Street value, $350,000, but DEA agents in Colombia had already flagged him. They knew a U.S. military member was involved. They were waiting. Martinez-Ramos packaged the cocaine himself in Turbo, Colombia, a known cartel hub near the Panama border. The plan: hide the bricks under clothes, have his wife carry the bag, and disappear into Miami. When she got spooked and abandoned the suitcase, both were arrested on the spot. This wasn't just another drug bust. Martinez-Ramos was a SEAL who'd worked counter-narcotics missions in South America. He knew the system. He knew the routes. He knew exactly what law enforcement was looking for. And when the FBI started digging, they uncovered something massive. His arrest opened a door into an underground network that spanned the Western Hemisphere. Follow the money. Follow the cocaine. What emerges is a modern cartel operating like a Fortune 500 company. Here's what investigators found. The cartels, primarily Mexico's Sinaloa and CJNG, weren't just moving drugs. They were running corporate-level logistics with redundancies at every level. Maritime routes through the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, narco-submarines carrying up to 10 metric tons per trip. That's $300 million per voyage. Encrypted financial networks. Offshore accounts across multiple countries. Martinez-Ramos testified. He revealed cartel connections deep into Colombia's cocaine production zones. He admitted to failed cocaine shipments, testing equipment. This was industrial-scale trafficking. But here's the thing. Martinez-Ramos wasn't working alone. The FBI discovered he was part of a larger network of corrupt military personnel and law enforcement officers who'd been compromised by cartel money. Some were active-duty SEALs. Others were former operators turned private contractors. All of them had one thing in common: specialized knowledge that made them invaluable to cartel operations. The cartels paid well, 6-figure sums for single shipments, luxury cars, properties in Miami and Colombia. For operators making standard military salaries, the temptation was real. And the cartels knew exactly how to exploit it. The FBI coordinated with Joint Interagency Task Force South, JIATF, a military-led operation based in Key West, monitoring 42 million square miles of territory. What they found was staggering. November 2024. Operation Orion launches. This wasn't just an American operation. It was a coordinated strike involving the U.S., Navy, FBI, DEA, Brazilian forces, Spanish authorities, Dutch intelligence, and Colombian special forces. The results? Over 1,400 tons of drugs seized, more than 225 tons of cocaine intercepted, 128 tons of marijuana, 400 arrests worldwide. The Colombian president called it perhaps the largest seizure of cocaine in transit made by Colombia in history. The operation deprived cartels of more than $8.4 billion, gone in weeks. But Operation Orion wasn't just about seizing drugs. It was about dismantling entire networks. Financial analysts traced money flows through shell companies in Panama, the Cayman Islands, and Switzerland. Cyber specialists cracked encrypted communications revealing cartel leadership structures. Intelligence officers identified production facilities, transportation routes, and distribution cells across 3 continents. Every arrest led to more intelligence. Every seized shipment exposed another link in the chain. The FBI was methodically taking apart a criminal organization that had taken decades to build, and it all started with one Navy SEAL and a suitcase at Miami Airport. JIATF's watch floors tracked dozens of vessels simultaneously across the Pacific and Caribbean. Intelligence analysts worked around the clock with 15 partner nations. When radar picked up a go-fast boat packed with 300 kilos of cocaine leaving Costa Rica, Officers requested U.S. Navy P-3 surveillance aircraft. Honduran Navy patrol boats intercepted it hours later off Nicaragua's coast. Dominican Republic forces worked with the U.S. Navy to destroy a vessel carrying 1,000 kilograms of cocaine 80 nautical miles south of Beata Island. French Navy forces intercepted over 6,000 kilograms of cocaine worth $371 million off the Gulf of Guinea in March 2025, working with the DEA and UK's National Crime Agency. The technology behind this? Cutting-edge military systems and intelligence fusion. U.S. Navy P-3 Orion surveillance aircraft equipped with advanced radar patrol the skies. They detect low-profile go-fast boats and semi-submersible vessels riding just below the waterline. These narco-subs are built from wood and fiberglass to evade detection, but modern radar and infrared systems pick up their heat signatures anyway. Coast Guard cutters deploy aerial drones extending surveillance range by hundreds of miles. In fiscal year 2025 alone, the Coast Guard seized nearly 510,000 pounds of cocaine, 3 times their annual average. That's 193 million potentially lethal doses removed from American streets. But the real breakthrough came from intelligence sharing. JIATF pioneered a model where liaison officers from 15 countries work side by side in the same operations center. Real-time data sharing, instant coordination, no diplomatic delays. When a Colombian analyst spots suspicious vessel movement on satellite imagery, they walk across the room and coordinate with Dominican or Honduran naval officers. Within minutes, assets are deployed. Within hours, intercepts happen. This level of coordination was unprecedented in counter-narcotics operations, and it worked. Here's where it gets darker. Martinez-Ramos wasn't an isolated case. In 2018, SEAL Team 10 conducted urinalysis testing. 6 SEALs caught for cocaine abuse. 1 operator admitted using cocaine in Buenaventura, Colombia, while deployed. Another poured cocaine into his drinks at Virginia Beach bars, calling the military's drug testing program a joke. Internal Navy investigations exposed widespread drug abuse. Cocaine, methamphetamine, ecstasy, marijuana. SEALs beat tests by swapping urine samples. One SEAL stated, "I never once got piss tested on deployment or on the road, where I was using most often." Former Navy SEAL James Dennis Smith was arrested in 2017 for ties to a marijuana smuggling operation moving over 1,540 pounds of drugs. 2 ex-SEALs working private security died aboard the cargo ship Maersk, Alabama, after consuming heroin and alcohol. These weren't addiction cases. These were highly trained operators with specialized knowledge of counter-drug operations, surveillance techniques, and smuggling routes. Cartels recognized this. Why build intelligence networks from scratch when you can recruit operators who already know the system? Martinez-Ramos had worked counter-narcotics missions throughout Central and South America. He knew DEA protocols. He knew Coast Guard patrol patterns. He knew exactly when and where surveillance aircraft operated. He knew the gaps in the system. And that knowledge was worth millions to the cartels. The Navy's response was swift. Leadership overhauled drug testing procedures across all naval special warfare units. Random testing increased. Oversight intensified. The message was clear. The quiet professional culture doesn't protect criminal behavior. But the damage was done. The cartels had already identified vulnerabilities. They'd already recruited assets. The question wasn't whether there were more compromised operators. The question was how many. April 2025. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel stand at Port Everglades, Florida. The Coast Guard cutter James seized 45,000 pounds of cocaine. Street value? Over $5 million. "We have saved thousands and thousands of lives as a result of this incredible cooperation," Bondi announced. 11 suspects were arrested, 2 cartels, Sinaloa and CJ&G, directly implicated. But this was just one operation in a year of record-breaking seizures. February 2022. Coast Guard cutter James offloaded 54,500 pounds of cocaine and 15,800 pounds of marijuana, worth $1.06 billion at Port Everglades. June 2024. German authorities seized 24.5 tons of cocaine at the port of Hamburg, a new European record. October 2025. Pakistani naval vessel PNS Yarmouk. intercepted 2 dhows in the Arabian Sea. Crystal methamphetamine and cocaine worth $972 million. Throughout 2025, U.S. Coast Guard seized 22 tons of cocaine and 2 tons of marijuana worth $510 million just off Florida's coast. In one fiscal year, JIATFS and partner forces intercepted drugs worth an estimated $11 billion, enough to fill 42 dump trucks. Since its creation in 1989, JIATFS has seized hundreds of tons of cocaine, with a total street value exceeding $6 billion. But 2024 and 2025 represented something different. A coordinated global assault on cartel infrastructure that went beyond simple interdiction. Financial task forces froze assets, cyber units disrupted communications, partner nations arrested leadership, manufacturing facilities were destroyed. The cartels weren't just losing product, they were losing the ability to operate. Martinez-Ramos's arrest revealed how modern cartels operate. Not like street gangs, like multinational corporations. Complex supply chains with built-in redundancies, manufacturing facilities hidden in remote jungle locations, transportation networks using narco-submarines and commercial shipping containers, financial operations with encrypted communications and offshore banking, distribution cells spanning 3 continents. The Colombian Navy intercepted multiple semi-submersible vessels. In June 2024 alone, 2 narco-subs carried almost 5 tons of cocaine. These aren't crude boats, they're sophisticated engineering projects designed to defeat radar detection. Some travel thousands of miles underwater, surfacing only to recharge. Cartels adapt to every countermeasure. Authorities crack down on Caribbean routes, they shift to the Pacific. P-3 Orion aircraft become too effective, they invest in fully submersible vessels. One shipping route gets compromised, 3 backup routes are already operational. The real game changer? Intelligence sharing. JIATFS created a model where liaison officers from 15 countries work side by side in the same building. When a Colombian analyst spots suspicious movement, they walk across the room and coordinate with Dominican or Honduran naval officers in minutes. No diplomatic delays, no bureaucratic red tape. The result? Real-time targeting of smuggling operations. When intelligence confirms a vessel is in the water, the watch floor commander deploys the nearest assets. Whether that's a U.S. Coast Guard cutter, a Colombian naval vessel, or partner nation aircraft. Within hours. But the cartels evolved too. They hired former military personnel. They recruited cybersecurity experts. They invested in counter-surveillance technology. They created compartmentalized cells where no single arrest could compromise the entire operation. Admiral Christopher Tomney, former JIATFS director, explained it. These threats know no boundaries. These are threats that affect multiple agencies and multiple nations. It takes a whole hemisphere approach. The financial stakes? Potentially larger when you account for unreported operations and secondary markets. That's more annual revenue than many legitimate Fortune 500 companies. Angel Martinez-Ramos pleaded guilty to conspiracy to import cocaine in March 2014. He's currently serving time in federal custody. His wife's lawyer cited a pre-sentencing report confirming Martinez-Ramos personally packaged cocaine in Colombia before attempting to smuggle it into the United States. But his case did more than put one corrupt SEAL behind bars. It exposed vulnerabilities in America's most elite military units. It revealed how cartels actively recruit operators with specialized training, and it triggered investigations that led to the largest coordinated drug busts in recent history. The Navy responded, updated urinalysis programs across naval special warfare units, increased testing frequency during garrison, training, and deployment. Commanding officers retrained personnel on drug testing protocols, background checks intensified, financial monitoring expanded. The message was clear. The quiet professional culture doesn't protect those who cross the line. Meanwhile, the FBI continued dismantling the networks Martinez-Ramos was connected to. Every seized shipment meant millions in lost cartel revenue. Every arrested smuggler provided intelligence on routes, contacts, and operations. Financial investigators traced money flows through shell companies and offshore accounts. Cyber specialists cracked encrypted communications. Intelligence officers identified production facilities and distribution networks. The investigation expanded beyond cocaine, methamphetamine labs in Mexico, fentanyl precursors from China, heroin operations in Colombia. The cartels weren't just trafficking one drug. They were running diversified criminal enterprises with multiple revenue streams, and Operation Orion was systematically dismantling all of it. One Navy SEAL thought he could beat the system. Instead, he triggered a multi-billion-dollar investigation spanning 3 continents and resulting in the largest cocaine seizures in history. From Miami to Colombia to the Caribbean, the FBI, US Navy, Coast Guard, and international partners proved that no criminal organization, no matter how sophisticated, can escape coordinated law enforcement. Operation Orion, Joint Interagency Task Force South Interdictions, billion-dollar busts. This is what happens when America's finest turn their full attention to dismantling cartel empires. And the message to traffickers is unmistakable. The oceans aren't safe anymore. The Martinez-Ramos case showed that even operators with elite training, insider knowledge, and cartel protection can't evade modern surveillance and intelligence networks. The technology is too advanced. The coordination is too tight. The consequences are too severe. But the fight isn't over. Cartels continue to evolve. They recruit new assets. They develop new routes. They invest in counter-surveillance technology. And law enforcement continues to adapt. New partnerships form. Technology advances. Intelligence networks expand. This is the new reality of counter-narcotics operations, not isolated busts. Not individual arrests, but coordinated global campaigns targeting entire criminal enterprises. If you want more real-world military operations, intelligence-driven stories, and the hidden technology behind America's most classified missions, hit that subscribe button for Battlescope. We bring you the stories that mainstream media won't cover, the operations that save lives and protect the homeland. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay informed, and remember, justice might move slowly, but it moves with precision.